It's the Donna Adelson trial. Dan Markel, the father of Benjamin and Lincoln, was murdered 11 years ago. It's all led to this. Donna Adelson is charged with first-degree murder. If convicted, she faces life in prison without parole. We'll use our law enforcement experience to comment on the case as friends, family, and the people seek justice for Dan Markel. All that and what it means for your weekend on the Comm Center. Wake up, America. It's the Comm Center with Drew Breezy. It's a TV show on the internet about two best friends who are called by a small town sheriff to investigate when someone litters a beer can on the moon. I'm John. I'm an actual 911 dispatcher. I've been doing that job in my community for more than 10 years. Usually joining me is my podcasting partner with police benefits, Andrew Baxter, the namesake of the show. But hey, what can I say? He just doesn't roll on Shabbos. He's taking the night off. I wanted to talk about day one of the Donna Adelson trial. Had people out today on stand. It was a very interesting day. If you missed it earlier, we actually did cover the opening statements. You can go back and watch that. We had a live reaction to both the prosecution and the defense laying out their cases for the jury of what they're going to try to convince the jury of as they deliberate. It was very interesting because we finally get to see what the Donna Adelson strategy is going to be, which is essentially blame everyone else but Donna. You're going to blame Harvey. You're going to blame Charlie. You're going to blame Wendy. But I wanted to go back and review some of the highlights of today, starting from right after we stopped our reaction. The pathologist who did the autopsy for Dan came on, and Donna had a very strange reaction to that. The Donna Adelson, the fine actress that she is, seemed to be going to pieces here.
Continue.
Doctor, did you conduct the autopsy of Dan Markel?
Yes, I did.
When was that conducted?
We performed it on July 19, 2014, and we started at 11:55 hours.
Where was the autopsy conducted?
At that time, we were in the Tallahassee Memorial Hospital morgue.
Did you take photos as part of your autopsy?
Yes, I did.
Would use of those photos assist you in your testimony?
Yes, they would.
Would they assist the jury in understanding your testimony?
Yes, they would.
States 25 through 34.
Looks a little broken up there.
To look through those and let me know if you recognize them.
What's happening, of course, is that they're putting out photos of Danny, who was shot twice in the head and face and arm. He goes on to describe the photos in great detail: bruising, stippling, pseudo-stippling,
Yes, ma'am.
raccoon eyes.
Accurate
It's gruesome.
photographs that were taken during the
The judge could see that she's overreacting a little bit, so her lawyer leans in and says, "Hey, you want to button that up?" And of course, after everyone looks at pictures of Danny, even though his face looks like a bowl of spaghetti, everyone's dismissed for a delicious lunch, and this is what the judge has to say about it.
Before we go on the recess break this afternoon, I do believe this merits a small bit of discussion on the topic. The matters that we've discussed at sidebar concerning emotional responses, I do feel it is important at this point. Mrs. Adelson, when the testimony is occurring or the evidence, I know you may have a natural reaction, but as best possible, you need to control your reactions concerning any head movements, any expressions of disagreement, or any emotional outbursts. The jury must decide this matter on the merits, on the evidence. Do you understand this? Very well. I do not wish to do this in front of the jurors at all, but it's very important that you are able to control your emotions. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course, this is important because if she has a big emotional scene over there, could result in a mistrial. We just got this thing started, and Donna's reaction is already threatening to blow the whole thing up. You may remember on the last day of Sarah Boone's trials, when they were showing pictures of Jorge Torres or George Torres, the family members were in the back, and they were just reacting quite naturally. They were very sad about the death of George Torres, but the judge had to admonish them, saying, "Hey, keep that locked down. You don't want to taint this jury with your over-emotional reactions, and you don't want to have to trigger a mistrial." Now, here's a very important part of the case that we've talked about in our recent episodes. If you missed any of our episodes, particularly this one about Wendy's interrogation, one of the most common reactions is that Wendy, when being interrogated by the police, never asked about the kids in her interview. I've said this many, many times before in many comment sections. So let me ask you how you think that played out. The police show up, she's having lunch with her friends, and you think the police just said, Mrs. Adelson, please get in our car. We're going to drive downtown. And she asks no questions and they tell her nothing. Of course not. So on the stand, we have Detective Craig Isom, who explains exactly what happened in his first few minutes of picking up Wendy. And it explains perfectly why Wendy never asked about the kids in the interrogation room.
Took a step away from the table she was eating at, approximately 10, 15 feet out of earshot of the other two individuals that were sitting at the table. And I told her that I needed to discuss with her something that happened with her ex-husband and that her children were not involved. I reassured her because the children had already been checked on, they were still at the daycare, and they were fine.
So Wendy never asked about the kids in her interview because she knew from the moment police had contact with her that everything was going to be fine.
Teddy has a tennis racket.
He did.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled, the witness may testify concerning his personal knowledge of the investigation.
Did she say why she wanted to relocate to South Florida?
Objection, hearsay.
Staying the answer to the call for hearsay unless you have an exception.
Yes,
Meaning she saw those items.
yes.
Objection, lack of foundation.
I believe that's what Ms. Kettleman is doing right now. Overruled.
So while Detective Isom was on the stand, they had several objections. Over and over and over, the defense was objecting to the line of questioning done by the prosecutor. If you're used to watching Law and Order on TV, this just seems normal. It seems like it's an adversarial process and the lawyers are kind of trying to get the better of each other with a person live on the stand right there in front of the jury. This is called trial by ambush, and it's actually not a real thing that happens. See, this trial has been waiting to happen for several years. Donna got arrested a long time ago. They've been getting ready for this trial for a long time. And the lawyers have been through all kinds of processes of suppression hearings and discovery and what the evidence is going to be and what's going to be presented. They both have a list of who the witnesses are. There's not going to be any surprises at trial. There's not supposed to be. And so, of course, you're going to have objections now and then, but having rapid fire objections like this is actually very, very, very uncommon. And it got to the point where, well, Detective Isom was on the stand. He says, okay, we're going to take a break. He sent the jury out. He sent the detective down off the stand. And this is when the judge starts to get pissed.
One thing, though, that is starting to trouble me with this. We had many motion hearings in this matter, and we've continued this case several times to handle these matters pre-trial. Why is this coming up now?
The exhibit that we were provided with, I went through thoroughly and had all of my objections listed. And then was told that's not correct. It's another binder. It's different emails. The binder I was handed by the state was completely discombobulated.
This is a former judge right here using the word discombobulated. First of all, she's blaming the state, saying all the evidence they gave her was completely disorganized, discombobulated, or whatever. She has had time to put this in order. The idea that she's claiming that the evidence that was handed to her was messy is really not okay. I mean, I get it that something's messy and maybe you want to deal with that pre-trial, but you shouldn't be dealing with that now. She also used the phrase later in the day, my bad. What kind of a judge uses phrases like my bad and discombobulated? If you compare her to Judge Everett, which one seems more judgely?
Not in date order. It was a train wreck.
As the state's exhibits you're referring to.
That's correct. And so then they provided us with this binder. It appears to maybe still be missing something, but they have a list, an exhibit list, everything laid out by date, by exhibit A, all the sub-exhibit numbers. So that's why, Your Honor.
We're not going to be wasting the jurors' times. At this point, we're 30 minutes behind where we should have been. Are there any other matters that need to be addressed?
There's one more that I asked for, Judge. It's dated April the 20th of 2016, and it's an email about whether one of the children is sad.
Objection. This makes my client look bad. This was also something that went on a lot during these, I can't call them pre-trial hearings because we're mid-trial, so these are mid-trial hearings, but while the jury is out, they're going through all these objections. And at one point, Donna's defense team wants one of the emails redacted because Donna refers to one of the judges, I'm presuming probably in Charlie's case or something, some judge along the way who happened to be an African-American judge, refers to her by a derogatory name, which could be easily interpreted as racist. The judge is like, well, since we have two juries that are African-American, and this would just tend to kind of make her look like a bad person, but it doesn't really have anything to do with whether or not she set up Dan Markel to die, I guess we can go ahead and redact that. And that was an ongoing theme. Now they're going to discuss this email about how apparently the children are not allowed to feel sad that their dad's dead. Hey, before you do anything else, make sure you're doing all those YouTube things. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with the Comm Center. We answer 99.9% of comments, so make sure you leave yours below.
64II judge is an email specifically in which the defendant is claiming that the child cannot be sad about the death of his father. Extremely relevant.
Its probative value is outweighed by the undue prejudice, Your Honor.
So her response was, its probative value is outweighed by the undue prejudicial effect. It's prejudicial. So in other words, she's saying, this makes my client look bad more so than it tells us anything about anything that actually happened to Dan Markel or the conspiracy to kill him. And Donna's such a horrible person that this keeps happening a lot, that a lot of the things that she has said and done, and these emails especially, they've all got to get redacted because of just how bad they make Donna look. So these mid-trial hearings go on 30 minutes or more. We're keeping the jury. The jury's been on lunch for over an hour. We're getting to the point now where half a day's wasted. The judge even asks at some point, should we just send the jury out of here and figure this out? And of course, nobody wants to be the attorney that says to the judge, yeah, like everything's so screwed up so bad, we better just go ahead and send them home. So Kappelman, to her credit, said, as long as we can kind of pivot and come back to some of these issues later, I'm willing to move on just so that we don't waste the jurors' time. But the judge was pissed.
Witness with personal knowledge, there is no tie to my client. Anything, and specifically anything post-dissolution, so post July 31st of 2013 that's in here, there's no evidence.
I heard this argument previously.
Yes.
It has been ruled upon.
Yes.
At this point, if the state has multiple witnesses that the foundation can be laid through, your objection will be noted for the record, but we are going to move on. If you need to look through this binder to match it up with specific communications in which you believe no foundation can be laid, you'll need to take the time. But as far as wasting the jurors' time on this any further today, what else does the defense need to look through concerning these exhibits?
Can you imagine trying to do the work while the judge is standing up, looking at you while you're going through this binder of messy evidence? And by the way, you know why the judge is standing up? He's just sent the jury out, so everyone rises out of respect for the jury. The jury excuses themselves. The judge doesn't sit down. That's how pissed off the judge is. He doesn't even sit down. He's so angry that he's got all this energy and tension built up in his body that he doesn't even sit down. So everyone in the courtroom is just watching the judge stand in front of everyone, and he chews pretty much everyone out. I think the defense got the raw end of the deal, but you could tell that he's pissed. And of course, everyone's scrambling at this point.
Before we leave here today, if we need to go through every single state exhibit to deal with any objections concerning them, we will do so, however long that takes. But we're not going to be wasting the jurors' time.
I will pull this trial over. Don't make me come back there.
Well, is there any other parts of Exhibit 64 that need to be dealt with now while the jurors are out of the room? Please look through it. At this point, I'm nearing becoming inclined to send the jurors home for the day, as we are wasting a significant amount of time on matters that were either previously litigated or now are still being challenged for reasons that could have been handled out of court. Mr. Zellman, for any item that is being objected to with State 60 that you are claiming has no tie to your client's communications, you need to look through that binder now.
So we had Detective Craig Isom on the stand, who basically in the course of an hour laid out how they solved the murder of Dan Markel, saying they found the pine mica Prius that the 911 caller found. They located it by tracing back where Dan had been earlier that day, various bus camera footage, the sun pass thing that tracks you as you drive through Florida. Took him an hour. So on day one of testimony, they had the police officer who solved the case. But I think the true star was actually Luis Rivera, the getaway driver for his friend Sigfredo Garcia, who of course was the hitman.
Was there a reason the murder had to be done on the day that it was done?
I believe so. I believe he was about to leave.
Who was about to leave?
Markel.
About to
Okay.
leave town?
Yeah.
How did you get that information?
I got it from Tudo,
Where did he get the information?
from Katie,
How did she know?
Wendy.
Oh shit. This is very, very good for the defense, saying that the information came from Wendy. Wendy works out as a perfect third-party culprit. She's already been given some kind of immunity. We know that the state's not going to prosecute her. And it all depends. Do you want Thanksgiving to be ruined forever? Obviously, Donna and Wendy are already on pretty cold terms. I don't think Thanksgiving is going to be very good if Donna goes to prison anyway. But now, through Luis Rivera, they're going to start making the case that Wendy is the one who, of course, benefited most from the hit, and she's the one who called for it, thus completely cutting Donna out of the plan.
You think Wendy talked to Katie and told her Dan Markel's travel plans?
Yeah.
Were you present for that
No.
phone call? Okay. But somehow you learned that Dan Markel
By the way, look at Donna now. She's not quite the same woman she was during those autopsy photos, was she? She looks a little bit more snakely now.
was leaving town the day after he was killed.
Yes, ma'am.
So it had to be done that day or he'd be gone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that came through Garcia to you from Katie.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say Wendy, did you know who Wendy was at the time that all this happened?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but you did know there was a lady that you were helping get some kids back in Tallahassee.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, Georgia Kappelman's like, okay, I guess I didn't know that you were going to necessarily name Wendy. Maybe she did know. But here's a good question. Luis Rivera has 5 felony convictions. He's doing serious time behind bars, both for this murder and for a federal beef. He's a crown in the Latin Kings. He's got a neck tattoo. Can we really trust this guy? I have to say he came across as very credible on the stand, and this was one of the parts that just really exuded credibility.
Did you know where the dentist lived?
Nope.
Did you know that the dentist had a safe full of money?
Nope.
Did you know that the dentist was going to be paying for at least part of this murder?
No.
And if you had known that the dentist had a safe full of money, would you have driven all the way to Tallahassee to do the murder to then get the money?
No.
What would have been a better idea?
Speculation.
By the way, I love that the lawyer, the defense attorney, is like, objection, calls for speculation. Yeah, Kappelman's asking him to speculate what he would have done otherwise. You're not speculating on what would have happened in some hypothetical scenario. You're not asking him to speculate what some other person would have done. The judge quite rightly rules like, no, he knows what was in his state of mind, and he knows what he would have done if he had known about the money in the safe.
Overall, he has knowledge of his own actions and what he was thinking at the time.
Well,
Answer the question.
What would you have preferred to do to get the money?
I went and robbed them myself.
I mean, that's just straightforward. He's just like, I would have just gone and robbed him. You know, when you've already admitted to buying a gun and driving to Tallahassee twice and stalking a guy with the intention of being the getaway driver for a murder, there's really nothing left in terms of shame or anything that you need to hold back. I love it. He's just like, I would have just robbed the guy. It would have been a better beef than murder anyway. So this is probably the defense's best part, though. They get Rivera on the stand, and now the defense cross-examines, and he wants to ask Rivera, since he knows so much about the conspiracy, including a whole part I didn't even know about, where apparently Sigfredo Garcia was fucking around with the gun inside the Prius, shot a hole through the floor, and blew a hole in the gas line, and they had to get it repaired by a local drug dealer that they knew. A little side quest, a little side adventure for Marv and Harry here as they go up to Tallahassee. But this is how the day ended. I think it was a definite victory for the defense.
And then you followed him to his house,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's where he was killed.
Yes, ma'am.
And the woman who wanted him to be killed, past you and Sigfredo and Katie, the woman who wanted him to be killed was Wendy Adelson, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It was she wanting her children, correct?
Absolutely.
So she's getting ready to show this piece of evidence where it's essentially the picture that we've shown you 100 times that shows every single person that's involved in the conspiracy. And the defense attorney is going to walk up to Mr. Rivera and ask him what he knows.
Mr. Garcia, I'm going to show you what
With
has
Mr.
been-
Rivera.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I like how, first of all, she's going to touch his arm. He's in shackles. He is a Latin king and a killer. Oh, I'm so sorry I got your name wrong. But I just threw this in here for all the people who hate on us for constantly getting people's names wrong. Even the defense attorney can't get the guy's name right.
So sorry. I apologize. Mr. Rivera, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 50. Could you take a look at that and tell me if you recognize that?
Yeah.
And what is that?
It's like a profile of everybody's face.
Okay. And did you make some marks on this for me and then sign it on March the 11th of 2025?
Yes, I did.
You just hold on to that for a second. Mr. Vera, when we met with you that day taking your deposition, I presented that to you. You gave us information about what had happened, pretty similar to what you talked about here today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when we were done talking about those things and some information about Sigfredo and Katie, I presented you with what's in front of you as Defendant's Exhibit 50, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I asked if you would put the number 1 and circle it next to the person you know as Katie, who you said was in charge of this whole deal, correct?
Yep.
And did you do that?
Yep.
All right. And then I said, would you put a number 2 next to the person you say did this killing?
Yes.
And you did that, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that was Sigfredo Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one was Katie McBanois, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I said, would you put a number 3 next to yourself on the paper? And did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the one who got the gun that was used to kill Danny Markel, and you drove the car that day. You didn't shoot him, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then I said, if you would, please put the number 4 next to the man who was killed, and you did that with Danny Markel, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I said, if you would, put the number 5 next to the lady that wanted the man killed. And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And was that with Wendy Adelson?
Yes, I did.
And then I asked you if the 2 people on the top of the page who have their pictures there and the names Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson, you see those on the top?
Yes, ma'am.
I asked you, as far as you know, were they involved in any of this? And you said no, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I asked you to put X's next to the people who on that page were not involved in this.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did that.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Pretty critically, he does not name Donna as a party of the conspiracy. In fact, he kind of implies he has no idea who Donna is. But let me ask you this. If you talk to any E4 specialists in the Army, if you talk to somebody who's landing on the beach during D-Day, can they tell you the names of the people who the Army Joint Chiefs of Staff are? Or the highest generals, the people who are calling the shots? Do they know the names of those people? See, this conspiracy is comprised of many different layers from top to bottom. You have the people at the top who are kind of shot calling. Those people would be possibly Wendy, certainly Donna, possibly Harvey. And then, so those are kind of your generals. And then you kind of got your colonels. You know, you guys are kind of your next step down. That would be Charlie. And then the orders are going out through the executive officer. you're kind of, your lieutenant colonel, your major there, that would be someone like Katie Magbonwa. She's the one who's going to give the orders to the troops. And then it goes out to the foot soldiers, the guys who are going to go out there on the ground and they're actually going to execute the battle plan. That's Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia. So of course they don't know the names of the top. They don't know the names of all the people who are coming up with the plans. They don't understand who it is that's writing the checks and who's paying for the boobies and who's passing out Lexuses, especially for Rivera, who during Charlie Adelson's trial revealed that he didn't know that Katie Magbonwa was continuing to receive benefits, as he got only a one-time payment of like $35,000. So he kind of got screwed out of a lot of what was going on. But in any event, it did kind of deal a blow for the defense. It pointed a finger at Wendy, who we know is not going to be charged. That just kind of ups the stakes for when Wendy gets cross-examined by the defense. That'll be interesting to see. Probably will happen next week. We appreciate you guys keeping up with this. I hope that you enjoyed this special Friday night presentation. Drew will return. You'll probably even see him some next week without me, because just our schedules work out that way. But make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. We recently had 10,000 subscribers, and that's because people like you. Make sure you keep up with everything as we go forward with this trial. Drew, it's been an awkward one.